Hello and welcome back to Jakubication. This is the next video of Chapter 0 entitled Loops. A background definition. Iteration is doing something over and over again. Also, everything a loop does in a single run through can be called one iteration of the loop. Another definition, syntax, is a set of rules that define which arrangement of symbols are considered correct versions of a certain statement or expression. Specific to each language. Example, and this is nearly universal to all languages, an assignment statement has a variable and then an optional number of values on the right. While loops. Overarching concept. Ask a question. If the answer is true, do the subsequent conditions, then ask the question again. Repeat this until the answer is false. Example, while I is greater than 0, add 1 to j, subtract 1 from I. I is greater than 0 10 times, so j equals 10 at the end of the loop. Infinite loops. The question asked never gets answered as false, so the loop goes on forever. Normally, Control-C is the magic key combination to stop an infinite loop if you accidentally code it up. Simplest example, while true x equals 5. Do while. Feature only in some languages that is essentially a while loop with the added bit of functionality that the first iteration always runs, regardless of the condition you are checking. So this is the same as the last example on the right here, except the first run always completes without checking if I is greater than 0. Yes, the syntax is weird and I never remember it. Break statement. Break out of loop or a switch statement before the loop is supposed to end. So in this example on the left, if I is less than or equal to 5, then it breaks out of the loop early, and then j only gets to 5. Continue statement. Continue the next iteration of loop, possibly skipping parts of a loop. In this example, j doesn't get incremented if I is a multiple of 2. Nested loops. Do the entire inner loop for every iteration of the outer loop. So in this case, j gets iterated 10 times for every iteration of the outer loop. So j happens 100 times because there's a multiplication relationship between the inner and the outer loop. C and descendant style for loop. The same main concept from while loops applies. The loop continually executes until the condition is false. Anatomy, initialize step. Initialize a counter variable, like let I equal 0. Condition, in this example, I less than 10. Increment step, I++. This is the only place I'd use the plus plus and the minus minus, as they have hardly no way of messing up in this case, and they work without any nasty side effects. The initialize step only runs once. The condition runs at the start of each iteration, so at the start of each iteration of this for loop it checks if I is less than 10. The increment step runs at the end of each iteration, so at the end of each iteration it adds 1 to I. Which one to choose? For loops and while loops seem to accomplish the same end goal, that being looping through stuff. So when should you use for loops and when should you use while loops? Use while loops when you don't know in advance how many iterations you want to do. Use for loops when you do know in advance how many iterations you want to do. In the next video, I'll cover arrays. Ciao.